Welcome to The Lift with Sheila Robinson Kiss. Come on in. There's always a special place set aside for you here where you can relax, kick up your heels, pour yourself a nice, refreshing drink, and prepare to be lifted and soar. Thanks, everyone, and welcome back. Living out their limitations, reversing the trend. I recently had a visit with one of my favorite people on the planet, and that visit actually inspired this YouTube video that I'm creating especially for you today, a very special message. And before I kind of get into my core message, I have a story to share with you. I'd like you to just close your eyes for a moment. And I'd like you to imagine that you're 12 years old and you're coming home from school, and it's been a pretty good school day, and you open your front door and you notice that there's no furniture in the living room, nothing in the kitchen, and your heart starts to race and you're very confused. And then you run upstairs and you see that just about everything is gone upstairs, but your bedroom is left intact. Now, open your eyes. How would you feel? Probably scared, lost. This is a true story. This actually happened to a 12-year-old little girl some years ago, and I was assigned at the time as her counselor, and her poise and grace and beauty as a child struck me, and it still strikes me as she has evolved into a woman about to be a mom, just finished law school, amazing story. And I recently had an opportunity to just check in and ask her, how in the world did you find the strength to overcome that circumstance, that moment in time? And her answer just cut through me, but in a very positive way. And she looked at me full of life and said, "Sheila, that is her limitation. That's my mother's limitation. I'm not living out anyone's limitation. I have things I need to get done." And looking at her about to be a mom at the start of an amazing career, I just asked her, "Look, you have my number, you have my email, you have to promise me no matter where you end up in this world, you will keep in touch with me. And not because you need to keep in touch with me, but because I need to keep in touch with you." It's phenomenal. And her grace and spirit, I think we can all learn something from her life story, which is still very much unfolding. My greatest heartbreak in this work, my greatest heartbreak is sitting and working with so many extraordinary people who could and should be knocking the ball out of the damn park on so many areas of their life, but they are stunted, they are sad, and broken, primarily because they're living out someone else's limitation or some programming that someone else thrust on them. And when you do that, I mean, the best analogy I could give you is, imagine one day you're going to the grocery store for some flour, and you get there and there's no flour on the shelves, and you go to the grocery store owner and say, "I just wanted to bake a cake, there's no flour," and he curses at you and he tells you, "You know what, I forgot to order flour, I've been depressed, you need to get the blankety blank out of my store." And so you leave the store and you're so sad, and you go home and you pass by about 30 different other stores you could have stopped at to get flour, but you go home, you don't get a cake, you fall into a depression yourself without even understanding you are living out someone else's depression, someone else's sadness. It's been projected onto you. Okay, you could have had the cake, you could have had it all. So much in life is about perception and how you view things. So how do you reverse the trend? I'm going to tell you exactly how you start to reverse the trend. I myself at one point was living out people's limitations. And this is the question, and this is the mindset that really got me going. It just got a spark, and it's never stopped. It's never subsided. And that question is, but were it not for living out this other person's limitation or this mental programming, who would I be? Who would I be right now? And you sit and you really ask yourself that long enough, you will get a very clear picture. What you're going to get is a clear picture of your authentic self. The question and the answer does not lie. This is how I deprogrammed myself. I'll give you an example. I remember being in my early 20s and I started to get restless. I just hadn't seen much of the world. I really wanted to get out and explore. And I heard this voice that had been programmed in my mind. Nah, you don't want to do that. It's a dangerous world. Things can happen, da 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 da, and on and on. And I broke through it. I broke through it just with answering the question. Who would I be were it not for this limitation, living out someone else's limitation, fear that's been projected on me? Who would I be? I would be a woman on a doggone plane. I started my travels and I haven't stopped. I want to see and experience as much as I can. I think we live out limitations, other people's limitations, in a variety of ways. And this mentality, this has to be checked. You have to check in with yourself on what you're thinking, where you're going in life, what choices you're making, and why. Woman came into my office, late 50s. Busted eardrum. Her arm had just healed up from being in the hospital, had been in an abusive relationship for many, many years. And she confided, I want to leave. On some level, I feel I should leave. But I grew up with a mom constantly telling me, stand by your man. Stand by your man, whatever it is. And you know what? I'm for families. I advocate for relationships. That is the cornerstone of my work. If you can work it out, do it. But in health, in respect, in decency, I rail against degradation. You can end up standing by your man. He may be standing over your coffin. Living out limitations. As far as I'm concerned, that was poor programming. Yes, stand by your partner. Yes, be loyal. Not when they're beating the hell out of you. And not when there is degradation inside out and your life is in danger. So we have to check and challenge our programming. Okay? Another example, I've had the privilege of working with people from all walks of life, the young, the old, everything in between, every race, creed, and color. 18-year-old young man, court mandated, had been thrown out of school, getting in trouble. And this was just a very unique exchange. I had a chance to sit with him for a couple hours, and he starts to quote philosophical text and just all this stuff. I'm blown away. And I ask him, what is this? What is going on? Why are you in here? What's happening? And he looks at me and he says, it's just environmental. My environment is limited. And I said, BS. Your environment is limited. You're quoting philosophical texts in your limited environment. Where did you get your hands on this stuff? Oh, I download these books and things on my phone. So I hear this and I knew immediately, you're living out the limitations of the people that you're surrounded by. You are ignoring your calling, your spark. He shared a lot in that little bit of short time. And it was basically same theme I started the video out with. Bad program. Living out other folks' limitations. I can't stress enough why you have to sit and challenge yourself, because through that inner conversation and through that challenge, that's where you're going to find breakthrough. I told you all in 2017 I was going to be stepping it up, and I'm stepping it up because I feel some folks need to hear the message in a different tone. And I'm telling you right now, if you continue to play these games with yourself, you will trade off on your entire lifetime. I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Don't let it happen to you. Take a stand. Take a stand. I issue an assignment, and the next 24 hours, I want you to get clear. If you are soaring, I want you to continue to fly high. But if you feel there's some stagnation here, go back and ask yourself, am I living out anybody else's limitation? If you are, know that you have the power to flip the script now. You can do that immediately. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.